Alright.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the football experience. Caleb and I are back. Caleb, how have you enjoyed these last couple of days now that the round of group stages is done and dusted?
Oh, that's a loaded question, I feel, because the drama of the last couple of days in particular has been pretty unreal. So much drama, the dual screens going and checking what's going on in each game. I think that the best case in point, the pinnacle of the drama, was the 5 minute spell in which Costa Rica took the lead over Germany and Spain were down against Japan. And it's like, are both Germany and Spain really both going out of the World Cup in the group stage? But I have it sort to that it wasn't going to be. But yeah, it was obviously that in itself is enjoyable in the moment. But anyone who's listened to the pod before will know my thoughts on underdog victories, and I'm very rarely favourable in them for them in tournament football like Champions League or World Cup, because now, I don't know, rather selfishly, and I'm sorry to be a downer to probably especially Japanese and South Korean fans or Korean Republic fans, but I'm so disappointed that we're missing out on Germany and Uruguay for those teams, I must say. I'm sorry, but that's my selfish opinion on the upsets in the groups, and obviously great drama, but I think we could have had tastier round of 16 ties if particularly Germany and Uruguay went through. But hey, they didn't do enough to get through, fine margins and all that. Say what you want. End of the day, that's how the table reads, but for me, I thought Uruguay and Germany had higher ceilings to be better teams than Japan and South Korea will prove to be. So, yeah, that's my unpopular opinion to start the pod.
Yeah, but at least your favourite defender this season is through to the round of 16.
That is fair, and obviously Son pops up with the pass, which was not very indicative of his game, because I thought he was, to borrow a basketball phrase, he was hero balling it a lot in that game. A lot of head down running, not looking for teammates, just trying to do it all himself. But when the moment arose, he did finally find a teammate, and I think Chan's actually, every time I see him play, I'm quite impressed with him ever since his Salzburg days. I think where he turned Virgil van Dijk inside out at the Cop end and scored in that pretty remarkable Champions League tie a couple of years ago. But yeah, he pops up. Obviously, those two are heroes, and obviously Kim Min-jae didn't play in this game. But hopefully he'll be back for the remainder. And yeah, that is what I will say about the Korean Republic. They do have two genuinely world-class players in the team, which is a lot more than you could say about I don't know, maybe 80% of the teams at the World Cup. So yeah, you do get that star quality.
Mate, what? That's an outrageous claim.
What?
They have two world-class players.
You think that's the outrageous part?
As opposed to 80% of the teams. Are you talking?
Well,
you're talking about 80% of the teams that are just in the group stages, or what?
Yeah, 80% of the teams at the World Cup, maybe 75.
I don't know. I reckon you pulled out I reckon you pulled that percentage out of your ass, to be honest.
I did. I didn't have time to properly do it. I haven't got
I reckon it's lower than that.
But that's my feeling. How many of these teams have two genuinely world-class players? Obviously, France do.
Yeah.
Obviously, Germany.
Croatia
do.
Netherlands.
Ooh.
Who's their second? Croatia.
Netherlands.
Croatia certainly do.
I don't know about Kovacic and Brozovic for absolute world class.
What about Guardiola now?
He's getting there.
Oi.
Yeah, he's good.
I saw a quote though. Apparently, he's a Liverpool fan, and I've been saying. You guys would need him. The problem is that his contract runs out in 5 years time.
Yeah. No, but like you know my opinion on that. I think we have more pressing needs, but he is a wonderful centre back. But he'll cost an arm and a leg, which
Yeah.
if the Liverpool hierarchy had anything to do with it, they'll focus that money on Jude Bellingham. I think would be their option.
Yeah. Well, if you guys could snag Bellingham like next season, because his contract runs out in 23, isn't it? Or 24. So I think he has a year left after this
So
season.
sure.
Then
I think we've digressed. What were we talking about before I made my
world class
claim?
players, yeah.
Which we'll fact check. We'll fact check before the next.
So
pod.
you don't think Netherlands? So De Jong is not world class for you. He hasn't been playing enough.
Oh yeah,
I
he was
think.
on the trajectory, but
Yeah.
he hasn't fulfilled it.
They got Van Dijk. He's the only one. So you're saying two per.
Gakpo might be going that way.
He's on the trajectory, yeah.
Yeah.
England, yes.
Wait. Who are England's two world class players?
Well, Maguire and Harry Kane, for sure.
Thank you. I set you up for that one.
Well, it's pretty. I think England have a couple of world class players, don't they?
No. Who are the couple? Go. Yeah, it's Harry Kane for me, but
Bellingham?
I don't know the other obvious
Bellingham,
one.
Saka,
not yet.
Foden?
Not yet for either of them. Not yet for any of them.
Really, Foden isn't world class for you.
But I will say I might be being a little bit presumptuous, although I've been so blown away by him this season. But to have Kim Min Jae already world class then by those standards, you know.
Yeah, come on, like
I might be being a bit unfair, but like I've been so blown away by him. I just think he is.
I don't know how you're saying that Kim and Son are world class, but Foden isn't. Foden's already world class.
Foden plays in a really good Manchester City team.
Yeah, but he looks like one of the best players usually in that team as well.
Yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one with Phil Foden because he doesn't look like one of the best players when he plays for England, I must say. So,
yeah, but that's England.
Well, Harry
Kane's looked poor since the Euros for England. For
Spurs
as well.
Harry Kane's been pretty good this tournament. He was pretty good against Iran, and that was like the win that was pretty much we set it all up.
Yeah.
But anyway, are we going through team by team? Is that what we're doing?
Really quickly, we are. I guess Denmark have one in Ericsson. Yeah.
Did he play? We'll get to Denmark later.
Well, all right, hang on. Are you saying that they have to play world class for their national team, or just in general that they're world class?
Just in general, they're world. But I have a very high threshold for world class.
Argentina.
That one's tough because we went through Argentina last time. Is Messi still world class? Probably this season.
Yeah.
I think he's.
Di Maria was. Not
Di Maria
anymore.
maybe that season where he played central midfield. I did love him that season.
For Real Madrid, he was that season when they won that first Champions League that they of the five. I'm sort of skipping along. I'm skipping some teams like Saudi Arabia, Mexico, and stuff. Belgium, I know they've been a disappointment, but do they have two?
One.
De Bruyne.
Do you put Lukaku as world class? But especially not this version of Lukaku, which I'm sure we'll talk about later.
Nah, they had.
Two. They've got Courtois in goal. Sorry, that's a massive.
Okay,
oversight.
well there we go.
They got two.
There we go.
But that's the interesting point because I think these teams who sort of have two, like South Korea, we could argue, do they have two? But like them and like Belgium, I don't think they've been particularly impressive just because they have those players in their team, you know? I don't think Son's had a particularly good tournament. I don't think, obviously, De Bruyne didn't have a very good tournament.
Yeah.
And even Courtois, to an extent, didn't really have a great tournament after the penalty save. So, yeah, I don't know. That's these teams who are made up like that. Am I really excited to see them progress? Not really. I don't know. Maybe I think I've just been too harsh and a bit too negative. Because at the end of the day, this is what the World Cup is about, isn't it? It's about extending the game and growing the game. And these countries like Japan, Korea, us to an extent. But we'll touch on why that one's a bit different for me a bit later. But obviously all these nations they have something crazy to celebrate by getting through their group. So that's the
Should
spirit of football. But from a
yeah.
selfish, quality, elitist view, I just love having the best players and the best teams in.
Yeah, but the counterpoint to that is if the team doesn't perform, they deserve to go out. And like obviously, when we go through each of the groups, we'll talk about like the potential hypothetical situations because there was almost a chance of Brazil finishing second in their group.
That was crazy.
There was almost a chance of
you
that
were
happening.
you were absolutely praying for that. For
I was.
those 15 minutes.
I was.
Get him away from us, and we've got a clear path to the semis.
I can't believe no one from the Switzerland bench was saying we can finish first. We can get the easiest side of the group where there's only Argentina on that side.
I know. I do agree with that. I thought Serbia were there for the taking as
Yeah.
well. And I thought Ghana were there for the taking, for Uruguay as well.
Yeah, and then all right, let's get back onto the topic of the actual World Cup. We won't talk. I think.
Yeah, I reckon
I actually think you're probably close with that 80% number. Like going through it.
Saying, man.
I think you might. I think you shouted that number off the cuff, and I think you're actually pretty close. But all right, let's go through it. So with Group A, there wasn't any surprises, was there? With Group A, so Senegal,
A and B were just meh. I mean, USA Iran was obviously a game for all the marbles, which was at least a little bit fun. But
there was no
compared to what we saw later.
There was no surprises with those two groups.
No.
Who finished first and second?
I think most people expected, maybe not. I think most people were thinking Ecuador would come through that game against Senegal, but it was a 50-50 pick, I thought. But after what we'd seen from Ecuador in the first two games, I think most people were a bit more on the side of Ecuador. But
maybe only because of
not a shock, not a surprise.
Maybe only because of the Mane injury.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I still think Senegal being the AFCON champions, they still should have had, even without Mane, they should still had enough firepower to go through. The problem is you have less firepower, but the quality all around the pitch should still be there, considering you're the AFCON champions 10 and 11 months prior.
One thing I will say, and obviously you take that confidence of being AFCON champions in tournament football into the World Cup, although obviously Qatar did not do the same. But I think what I've seen from Senegal, I would have to say they're the most probably well coached of the African sides, or certainly the West African sides for me. They look the most organized. They're probably the most not hard working, but most compact, most smart working, maybe. I think that's really helped by having a bedrock of Kalidou Koulibaly at the back, and obviously he pops up big with the captain's goal that takes them through. And that will be a tough test for England. I think that's a test that they probably. I think either Ecuador or Senegal would be a tough test, but it's one if you want to make some noise in the tournament, you have to beat a team like that without Sadio Mane. So, yeah, I thought, Senegal worthy to go through, and probably the most organised, the most disciplined sort of West African team that I've seen at the tournament, and that's why they're through, I guess, unlike Ghana and Cameroon.
Yeah, and I think when we were going through our predictions, I think we both had Netherlands, Senegal 1 and 2 for that. Hang on. Now, Group B, England and then USA 1 and 2. I think you predicted USA. I predicted Wales. I just thought that considering the players that they had, but then again, Ramsey and Bale haven't barely played any football. Like Ramsey, since when he went to Juve, has been a shadow of himself, and then now he's playing in France. Is that right?
Yeah, for Nice, I think.
Yeah, and Bale's barely playing for LA, and even before that, he was barely playing for Real. Like I just thought that
Tragic pictures of him hooked at halftime. What a way to end it.
well, what happened there?
Well, he got brought off at half time, and that's the way he's going to end, or
Yeah,
most likely end
I
his
think the problem
international
for
career.
yeah, I think the problem for him, and I think Kieran and Souness have alluded to it, is that he has these like chronic injuries. Like he always seems to have the same injuries. I think it's the same knee, it's the same back injury, and like it just won't subside and go away. Tragic for a player of his quality, because even when he went to Real, I think he hit the ground running at Real, and then he just dwindled
I don't
off.
know. Gareth Bale back in the day was sick, man.
Yeah,
Make no mistake about it. But yeah, I guess this was what he was building for in the last years of him, like seemingly falling out of love with football, really. But I guess he still loved performing for Wales, and to see him go out like that was, I don't know, pretty sad. Although, how much sympathy could you have for Gareth Bale after years of just not trying to put any effort into his profession and his craft at the same time?
it depends. If you have like these chronic injuries that where
Then you have to work all the harder at rehab.
but
And
what
stuff,
but what if
don't you?
you but
So,
what if you can't work? What if it's just something that just won't go away and just keeps coming back? Like
I hear he can work on the golf course. So
yeah, well maybe he has maybe we see him on the PGA tour
maybe
next
But
year
I
or
don't-
something.
him and Steph Curry must be the odds-on favourites if you went to a bookmaker. Who are the next golfers coming through? But yeah, no, I don't want to bash on Gareth Bale. I actually really have enjoyed Gareth Bale's career, but Wales were super disappointing. Probably
Yeah.
one of the top three disappointing teams that come to the top of my head when I think about it, along with obviously Belgium and Denmark, which we'll touch on a bit later.
Yeah, but Denmark for you isn't really it's not really disappointing for you. You're happy about that, so
Hey, man. I am quite happy about that. That's why Australia's situation of getting through is different, because they didn't knock out a team that I wanted to see anyway.
yeah. How do you think this? Should we talk about it now? Like, how do you think this US team will go in 4 years' time on home soil?
Well,
Because they're
You know
they're
what,
the
I
youngest team, right?
yeah, I believe they are at the tournament. And yeah, I've been pretty impressed with the US, particularly in first half. Those sort of energetic wide midfielders in McKennie and Musa that they have either side of another energetic sort of all over the place midfielder like Tyler Adams has really helped that front three sort of play close together with Pulisic and Weah, I guess, sort of as a striker up there. And yeah, I've been impressed with them tactically. I think they're a little bit naive in second halves. I think we saw that against Wales, because that was a Wales team there for the taking, and that penalty, and they're a bit soft at the back as well. Although Cameron Carter-Vickers came in and had a really good game in that decider against Iran, so maybe he can shore them up a bit as well. So yeah, I think the US are looking good. I think in terms of that age for next World Cup, I guess we sort of flagged that in the preview pod for the World Cup. Yeah, I think they look quite good. The other one I like as well, I kind of like Canada for the 2026 World Cup as well. I think they have like a genuine star. We're talking about a genuine world class player. They have one, Canada.
Yeah.
Jonathan David had a rough World Cup, but we'll see. But anyway, this is about the US, so I think they need to find a number 9 from somewhere, if they can, and a centre back. So that's not in your control completely, but I think that's what they'll be looking for over the next 4 years. And another interesting thing is, it'll be interesting to see how they go with, I guess it will be maybe 2 years. I don't know when the Gold Cup is, but I guess it'll be like a year or two of no competitive football leading into a World Cup, which is something I guess we probably saw Qatar struggle with in the lead up to this World Cup. So obviously, as a host nation, you don't get that qualifying process. So it's a tough one. It's for a balanced act and a nation that's not necessarily like strong to begin with, like a Germany, or when those type of teams play at home, it's a bit different. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think that midfield's really promising. They've got some promising players. They could maybe, you'd expect them, if they keep going on this trajectory to probably make the knockout stage of that World Cup, depending on how it's formatted as well, obviously, which we've heard a lot about in the last days. I really hope they don't go with 3-team groups because the margin of error there. Yeah, if I don't even like the 4-team groups, to your point, because you were talking about how in the group stage these teams should have performed to get through. But remember, we're working with a 3-game sample size. The margin for error is nothing. So I guess that's what it's all about at the end of the day. But I would be in favour of your previously stated idea of going to 5-team groups and having more margin for error, and sort of you can recover from a slow start if you're a Germany or something like that. That's what I'd prefer. I know the smaller countries probably wouldn't prefer that, but 3-team group seems a bit ridiculous to me. But we'll see. Anyway, I've got sidetracked, but I think with the US, I have question marks, but I think there's enough talent to work with so that they're not going to be a disaster. I think they should be going into that World Cup, all things going well, no injuries, as a team who should be getting into the knockout stages of the tournament.
Yeah, they have some pretty interesting, like, bright young stars, I'd say, or like potential stars.
I like Tyler Adams.
Yeah,
he's impressed this World Cup, and obviously at Leeds as well. And I've been impressed with his leadership. Those prickly questions in the build up to the Iran game, how he dealt with it. I was for a 23-year-old, I was very impressed with how he dealt with that.
Yeah, so for them, I guess this was this is actually pretty, and they made it into the round of 16 as well. So this is a pretty good achievement for such a young team as well. So
what percentage chance do you give them of beating the Dutch?
I'll get onto this a little bit later as we go through the groups, because it sort of ties into my question that I had for the last pot. Yeah, in the last pod for you regarding the meta of the World Cup, and we especially saw that in the matches for round 3. But moving on into the next group, we had Australia going through, beating Denmark. There was a 2-minute spell there where they weren't going through, because Tunisia took a shock lead against France. So for 2 or 3 minutes, Tunisia were going through, and I was like, I'm going for Australia because I do want them to go through, despite what people may say. But like I was just like, far out, like you're holding your own against Denmark, which is it's no mean feat, So if you consider, like, if you look at rankings alone, I think Denmark are in the top 10, and Australia are, I don't know, like 30th or 40th. Actually, no, I think they might be the lowest ranked nation. Or is that Qatar?
No, Ghana.
Ghana. Okay, yeah. But regardless, like there's a gap. There's a massive gap in quality, and Australia were holding their own, and then bloody news hits that Tunisia took a shock lead against France. And you're like, what the hell is this? Like, France, obviously, they've qualified, so they're giving some of their second string players a run. But that's still no excuse, like, a France against Tunisia. Like, no offense to Tunisia, but still, we've talked about it. Like, France can essentially field, their whole 20...
We can't. This game proved that we cannot say that when they have these injuries. Without the injuries, fair enough, but this game proved that they cannot get any more injuries in that squad.
Yeah.
Because that France team that they trotted out was pitiful. And he put like 6 central midfielders in the team. He had Camavinga playing at left back. What the hell was that team? It was like 4 central midfielders across the midfield, and it was Camavinga at left back. And then sort of, I don't know, I think Fofana might have been slotting in, or Diassi was playing as the right back. It was the weirdest team select. It was one of those, like, if you're playing FIFA and you're going, I don't know, you're one of these like Aston Villa or something, you're going for the title, you don't have the deepest squad, and you've got a League Cup fixture coming up, and you just put on whatever team that you can field out there because you don't want to get any more fatigue to any starters. So you're just like, all right, this defensive mid, he'll have to play out on the wing. I don't care, whatever, just get him. That's what the French were playing. It was ridiculous team sheet. It was awful, really.
Yeah, he must have given a call to Pep before the game, just like giving him some crazy team sheet. But still, you would regardless of that, you'd still expect France to get a result against Tunisia.
Well, yeah,
you wouldn't expect them to lose. You wouldn't expect them to lose. Like,
definitely not. That was the feeling going into the game that a draw for Australia would be enough.
Is enough, yeah. And then, but Australia, like, credit to them, Lecky pops up with a goal and puts them through. So
unbelievable.
And against your most despised team, Denmark, as well. Like, that must have been like the cherry on top. Not only that they qualified over Denmark, but they also beat Denmark in the process.
And they had to your point.
Yeah, they had to.
I know that was even more. That was the icing that because I was already shitty that Tunisia took the lead, because I'm just like, oh, why are the French playing such a terrible team? At least like put some people in the team, and you get shitty about that, and then you get shitty. It's like, oh, maybe Denmark are gonna go through, but yeah, a little fist pump when Lucky scores a goal, and it's honestly, our Australia. You'd have to flick through the history books of the World Cup, and you'd really have to go through it, and you really have to look, because Australia would be in the running for worst teams to make a round of 16, I think, ever. to make a knockout stage of a World Cup. I mean, that's another one that we're going to have to do in the time off, but my goodness, this team was probably the least fancy, but luckily for them, they got a pretty powder puff group, and it has to be said, this is the main takeaway from the group, isn't it? That what happened to Denmark should be a national footballing tragedy. And they are not going to cop any of the flack, because Germany and I guess Uruguay and these teams will take all of that flack, but Denmark should be ashamed, because they had such an easy group to get out of, and they couldn't do it. And they looked... Obviously, they had the kits that were protesting the World Cup in Qatar, and maybe this sort of mentality around the Danish setup led to them sort of not being as focused as they maybe should have been in terms of going on and doing good things. Maybe they felt like they were above this World Cup. They didn't really want to compete properly in it, but man, you have to be scathing at what they did, because no self-respectingly half-decent footballing country should be getting knocked out of the World Cup by Australia. And I love Australia, but there's no way, if you're a half-decent footballing country, you get knocked out by Australia. So, yeah, for me, they're the team who should cop the most flack. They won't, but I'm here to hang it on them, because they deserve it. They were abysmal at this World Cup.
I'm not sure if they'll get the most flack, because if you look at Germany's group, I think that was just as easy a group to get out of.
No, Japan are a better team than Australia and Tunisia.
Yeah, sure, but Germany are a lot better than Denmark.
Yeah. No, they will get, and Germany will get the most flack. There's absolutely no doubt about that, because this is Germany, the second most winning team in the history of the tournament. So they will get the most flack. I still would give it to Denmark, because I think they had an easier group, and they came in as a lot of people's dark horses because of obviously what they did at the Euros last year, which again was a bit powder puff for me. But hey, they got to a semi-final, and yeah, I just was never really impressed with them at any real point, even though they were such a solid unit. And yeah, I think they deserve them. But I know I've had a bias against them. It's not really a bias against them. I just think they're like, I'm gonna vehemently hate anything that I think is overrated, and I think they've been overrated for a while. So it just makes my dislike of them a little bit stronger, you know. So I guess people can take this with a pinch of salt, but I think they should be ashamed, because this group was easy to get out of for them, and they didn't do it.
Yeah, and like when you start mixing politics with football, and like I think the analysts here said it as well because they I don't follow what's going. I don't follow Danish media or anything like that, but they obviously follow media and all that. Like all the attention was on the political side rather than the actual unity of the team itself. So no one was focusing on the football. And I don't know, we've seen it with England teams in the past where like if things aren't cohesive or united at home in the country, sometimes it does affect the team when they're abroad. Whereas like the England team over the last couple of years, at least under Southgate, it seems to have been more united, and also the country itself seems to have been more united, and they get behind the national team, which they didn't really get behind in the past. And like, and I've seen like, but even to that extent, I've seen some of the guys on AFTV say, "Oh no, like I still would rather Harry Kane like miss a penalty in the final and England not win the World Cup." It's like, are you fucking serious? Like they're making it crazy. They still have people like that making outrageous claims where like just because a player is from a rival team like a Tottenham or a Man City or United, depending on or Liverpool, depending on like who you support, you'd still rather them not enjoy success at the cost of your national team. And I think you only see that in England. However,
that's an interesting one.
However, you've seen that a lot less over the last couple of years, and I'm sure you've listened to like, especially like since they've retired, like Lampard, Gerrard, Rio, talk about how you'd have those cliques in the teams, like at 2002, 2004, 2006. So you'd have like the United players all eating together. You'd have the Liverpool players, the Arsenal players. All like they're all sort of in their little groups of 3 or 4 and whatnot. Now that doesn't seem to be the case, which I don't know. I guess that's one thing you could probably give credit to Southgate, or maybe that's just a thing of times have changed. Like you've seen Ferguson leave, you've seen Mourinho leave, you've seen Wenger leave, so that rivalry between the managers and like those father figures has gone from the Premier League. So maybe that's also you're smiling. You got something to say.
How did we get here from Denmark? That's what
I don't know.
I'm laughing about.
I think it's more just the fact that like it's to the point where like if things aren't settled and focused at home, then it's going to affect the team when they're abroad. So. Yeah, and like you've mentioned as well, like, you know, if they're not, they didn't seem that they were focused on the football. They seemed like they were focused on making a statement off the pitch rather than on the pitch. And there was
a few teams have been wanting to do that as well, to be fair. And I just thought, Denmark would just pour one of the ones who are bad at that. It's like, it doesn't necessarily like. I guess I'm saying it, but like at the same time, I guess I'm also saying it doesn't necessarily mean your performance has got to be poor just because you want to use your platform to get out a message that you feel is right. So, but yeah, I just thought they just, you could see it in their play that they just didn't look like a focused team. So it's something that I guess is easy to point to, and I guess I did it. So, but yeah, they just weren't a great team, and I wasn't impressed with them. I'm happy Australia going through and. Can you? No, we'll touch on that later. But I think we're done with group. What is it? C?
No, that was D. But they played first in the day. So now Group C, Poland, Argentina go through. Mexico almost went through and they blew it. When did Saudi Arabia score? In the 95th minute. Jeez.
But you know what the story was with that going down to yellow cards.
Yeah, it was the second time we saw the fair play rule be enacted.
Well, it would have been, but Saudi Arabia scored, so it made it all a moot point.
Yeah.
Mexico were obviously going for it because of the fair play rule.
Yeah.
But the free kick was something very special. That Chavez left-footed belter. I don't know. He must have been 30 yards out. He just struck it so sweet. I don't think we'll see a better free kick in the tournament.
Yeah. Perhaps.
Were you muted?
There's still games to play. So, I don't know. Caleb, you seem to be making a lot of outrageous claims this morning.
I'm sticking by that one, especially what I've seen from the quality of other free kicks at the tournament. They haven't been very good. So, I'm sticking with that one. That was an absolute belter.
You know what I'd love to see? Like, I'd love to compare the amount of free kick conversions at not just previous World Cups, but also like previous seasons of football. Because it feels like there's less free kick specialists and there's less free kicks being scored compared to before. I don't know. It feels that way. Like watching the amount of games that we watch, it feels that way.
But we're not sure. We're not sure if it's that way. But we're just saying like our heart feels that way. But the research might tell us something else.
I'm sure there's stats out there because you know how there's the XG. Like there's certainly a stat out there for converted free kicks to how many have been given across different leagues and whatnot. Because I think they have those stats for Ronaldo. Like apparently Ronaldo scored like 1 in his last like 100 or 150 free kicks taken.
That will surprise me.
Yeah.
Oh man, watching him take free kicks now.
I can't remember the last time he took a free kick and like scored it. I mean, like
20. Well, the last memorable one has to be 2018 World Cup against Spain.
Yeah,
just has to be for me. And that hat trick, that's an amazing hat trick. To be fair.
But anyway, do you have any thoughts on Poland Argentina? Because I guess that was a standout game. Poland looked shit, man. After watching that game, I was like, my heart wants them to go through, like being another European team, but far out, man. Did they deserve to go through?
No. I thought Mexico definitely deserved to go through. I thought Saudi Arabia even outplayed Poland, to be fair, but they gifted a few goals and didn't convert their penalty. But one thing you must say is the guy who does deserve to go through is Wojciech Szczesny. He has definitely been goalkeeper of the tournament so far. That incredible double save for the Saudi Arabia penalty, which I think is pretty pivotal in turning this group in their favour. Obviously, Lewandowski could have made it more comfortable. This group was really a group of penalties, wasn't it? You got Lewandowski missing on match day 1, Messi converting, and obviously and the Saudi Arabia one with the Szczesny save, and then Messi missing on the last day. So, or Szczesny saving, I must say. And yeah, it was just the feeling was when it was Messi against Szczesny, I just thought Szczesny was going to win the battle because I'm never completely confident with Messi taking penalties.
Yes,
and obviously Szczesny's in such good form that he feels like no one can beat him from the penalty spot at the moment. So, yeah, it was interesting how that played out. He is the one guy who I think definitely deserves to go through. But Poland, I'm completely with you, man. They were terrible in this game.
Before we go on, was that a penalty?
Yeah. Nah, not for me. It's incidental contact. My rule on this is my rule on this. And it's not law, but it should be put into law. If the ball is not under the control of the attacking player, then any contact from there is incidental and it's not a foul. If Messi knocks that ball down to himself and he's about to place it into the corner, then that contact after from Szczesny is a foul and it should be a penalty. But because he just heads it nowhere, he just heads it out of play, it's like, well, why are we giving a foul? It was never under his control. And then there's contact, which happens in football. That shouldn't be a penalty for me. It's the same with the Ghana one today against Uruguay. I didn't think that was a penalty because I think if you don't have the ball under control, if the ball's going out of play, it's not a foul. It's just incidental contact. You have to have the ball under control to earn a foul. Because I hate seeing people just boot the ball into the hoardings and then just go over because they can see contact coming and then they get a penalty for it. It's like, but no, the ball's never under your control, man.
The thing
That's my rule on it.
The thing with I can agree with that. The thing that had Szczesny have clearly punched Messi in the face, but either before or after Messi headed it, penalty. Yeah, but the fact that he's outstretching, he's reaching for it, and then the backside of his hand pretty much just like brushes Messi in the face
Yeah.
as he's falling as well. So he's not following through; he's falling into his face. Like in what world is that a penalty?
It's not reckless.
do
It's
not
not
understand that.
endangering anyone. It's just incidental contact. That's exactly what it is.
I do
It's
not
what happens in
understand that at
football.
all. Yeah.
No, it's because it's Leo Messi, man. Come on. We need Argentina through to the next round of this World Cup. With
Yeah, well,
with that man.
some of the pundits were questioning that. Like,
Well, how soft was the penalty they got against Saudi Arabia as well?
yeah. Well, I don't know. We have some
But-
we have some Argentine friends, and they agreed that it wasn't a penalty.
Yeah, it's you've got to. I think you've got to agree that's not a penalty. But
Yeah,
I guess it's sidetracking us from the point that Argentina, while Poland were awful, Argentina were quite good in this game. I must say.
yeah.
And
They've
I
been
think
good over the last 2 games.
They're going through the gears. You can slowly see it, can't you? They've gotten better each game. Each game has meant something, which I think is important as well, to carry that into the next round, because they haven't had a chance like France, Portugal, Brazil to suffer those defeats because a game meant nothing just before you go into the knockout stages. So it'll be interesting to see how those teams respond to that. But Argentina have had sort of the curse, but the luxury of that not being the case because of their shock loss to Saudi Arabia. And it's made Scaloni go through the lineup, and I think it's made him pick now. At least the base of the lineup is the right base now, with Enzo Fernandez coming in that last game. Molina, to his credit, had a really good game at right back. I thought Scaloni got it right, even though Romero was picked as one of the centre backs, because I think he anticipated that Poland would go just for a draw, because that's Poland's style, and we saw it play out. And I don't know, they were barely going for a draw for most of it. They were just doing nothing. They were so passive.
Yeah, that's
they
what it
did
felt
nothing
like.
all game.
Yeah,
Ooh, they did absolutely nothing. It's like, what's your game plan to affect this game right now? You're just like standing and running and doing nothing right now. But yeah, I thought Argentina, by playing Romero as one of two in a game like this, I think you could use his aggression higher up the park. And that's kind of what they did as well, with Enzo Fernandez as the base of the midfield as well. So I think they made it a key point that they wanted energy and pressing there so that they could pin Poland back, and they did that for large periods of the game. And that allowed Messi to link up with Julian Alvarez, who was great in this game. It'll be interesting to see if it is a narrow diamond with Lautaro coming back into the team with Messi just behind for the next game. But Julian Alvarez looked like he got a starting spot. Enzo Fernandez, for me, has done enough to get a starting spot. Interesting, he drops Lisandro Martinez again, but I guess he likes Otamendi, and I guess that's fair. Acuna looks like he's got the left back spot, but yeah, I think the team's just fallen into place. There's little things they could do to change from game to game, from challenge to challenge, but for the most part, they're going through the gears. And when we do the preview, we've got maybe something very exciting to look forward to on this side of the bracket.
yeah. I think they're starting to look better, and like you said, they're starting to gear up as the games go on. But having said that, yeah, Poland. It's hard to say that they're gearing up when Poland just didn't. They just let them walk all over them. It felt like they put up no challenge, no fight whatsoever, and they knew that drawing or even losing like 1-0, 2-0 was enough essentially. But Mexico almost made it not enough.
Well, how's the Lautaro chance towards the end? And he drags it wide, and that would have been good enough to send Poland out, which I think would have been justice, to be quite honest.
Yeah, like if you're talking about like which teams deserved it, then yeah, over Mexico. And Mexico at least put up a fight against Argentina as well and made things difficult for them until that first goal went through.
I think they could have put more of a fight up. They were a bit passive in the first half.
No, in the second half, I felt they were passive. In the first half, In the first half, I felt that they were actually giving them a decent challenge.
Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering that, but it wasn't so much Mexico. Yeah, it wasn't so much Mexico like killing it to deserve that second place. It was more Poland being so bad that I just didn't want them in the next round. They didn't deserve it.
Yeah, but Poland go through, and they're on the. Would you say that's the tougher side of the draw?
Yeah, Yeah, I think so. But it's kind of even, and we had
Yeah,
interesting
now it's
things
kind of
obviously
even.
happen. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had very interesting things happen to sort of adjust what we probably thought the bracket would be.
Yeah. But moving on, Group F. I know like E comes before F, but Group F played first.
Yeah.
I'm going off of like the chronological order and how Google put the matches. So you had Croatia, Belgium played out a 0-0 draw, and Morocco beat Canada. Morocco were pretty much through unless they lost, and they would have had to lose handedly as well.
Were they? I don't remember that one. They sort of put Canada away kind of early
I
in
know,
that
but yeah,
game.
had Morocco have lost, I think 3-0, they would have went out to if Belgium
Yeah,
drew.
yeah, yeah.
But anyway, Morocco were pretty much guaranteed to go through. But oh man, dude,
Go on. Let's talk about it. What was it like being a Croatian fan in the last 30 minutes of that game?
you know when like you know when you tense a muscle so much that it becomes like what's the word? It cramps up. And talk about like getting like anal cramps or something like from the butt clenching. Oh my god! Like
all those Lukaku chances. Ooh.
did he have like 3 or 4 chances? Like
really good ones as well.
jeez, man. And it's not like I don't know. It's not like our defense was like it's like for those moments like we sort of shut off, like like for the entirety of the 90, I thought our defense looked pretty solid. But then like once Lukaku came in, like he actually he helped create those moments of uncertainty, and they were just moments. They weren't like they were. Oh my! Like Lukaku, yeah. Had he have entered this tournament playing week in week out for Inter, he puts away all of them.
Stay close to.
Yeah. Bloody hell! Like, oh man, I don't know what to say, but I'll also say like Guardiola, like I think that on his very last chance where he manages to get a toe. Yeah, he manages to get a toe to the ball. I think that's going to be on the highlight reel of like of the World Cup. Like once they do the whole like once they do a highlight reel of all the teams and like moments and stuff like that's going to make it on there. Like not as part of like the amazing goals that were scored. That's going to be a part there as like the amazing saves as well.
It has to be, and I guess I'll say I nearly put the mocker on you guys going into this game, but hey, it was never in doubt. I knew Belgium could beat you guys. It's all good.
It was. I'd say the game was under control for the most part, and it felt like with us. Like, we didn't have clear-cut chances like that. But it felt like with us, that final pass or the final strike was missing. And I'm not sure if that was... I'm not sure if that was because there was a little bit of nerves going into this game. Because, like, we're on the edge of being knocked out or on the edge of qualifying. So maybe there's that little bit of nerves there. That when you're in those chances, or like maybe they were surprised they were getting those chances against Belgium, because I don't think we've beaten Belgium in the last couple of games that we played against them. I think we managed to get draws or like 1-0 defeats or 2-1 defeats. So, but yeah, like it just felt like that final ball that was missing, or that final strike was missing from us sealing the game. I think we had
when I look.
Go on.
When I look at your squad, I'm not surprised by that, because it's supremely strong in the midfield, but the front, Perisic is barely a front player. To be fair, the industry gets
he's not really a
up and
finisher.
down that pitch. Yeah, he's not a finisher at all. Although he had that chance in the first 10 seconds of the game as well, which
on his weaker foot.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't have a week of foot though.
He does for me.
Yeah, I thought on the balance of it, you guys deserve to go through, but wow, they gave you some heart palpitations in doing so. But my takes changed so much on this day because I had like a take ready to go with like, oh, Croatia, big losers from today because I thought Belgium were there for the taking, but they're going to finish second. And then obviously, oh, Spain end up finishing second, so they avoid them. But I guess my question to you is, would you have preferred to finish top and have to play Spain in the round of 16, or are you happy where you are on this side of the bracket?
That's a difficult one. Like, because as we go through the groups, like there was almost a chance that we also get Switzerland on our side instead of Brazil. Almost a chance. And I've said it before as well.
I'm not asking a question right now if that happens.
But yeah, but would I rather have Spain? I don't know. That's the thing. Like, it would have been a midfield. It would have been a battle of midfields. Like, you have this young generation of midfields being developed for Spain, and then you have this old guard that's full of experience, full of quality. I think quality-wise, they're probably similar, but then you swap out experience for, I guess, speed and maybe energy. But our midfield seems pretty energetic as well. And surprising, like, you got a 37-year-old Modric who's running more than most, like, 18 or 20-year-olds, which is...
He's ageless.
Yeah.
He's ageless, man.
It's a strange one.
Wine. He's getting better with time. It's insane, man.
I don't know. Maybe he can play till he's 40. Who knows? Maybe. But it would have been interesting, that one, and it would have also been a repeat of last year's Euro quarterfinals as well.
But obviously, you're saying that it's interesting because you avoid Brazil in the quarterfinals.
No,
because
we get Brazil now if we qualify.
No, but that's what I'm saying. That's why it's even a question whether you'd rather play Spain on that side or Japan on this side, because it's not about the Japan game. Obviously, it's about the prospect of facing Brazil in the quarterfinals rather than you're probably sitting on the other side and you've probably got you've obviously got Spain in the knockout or the round of 16, but then you probably got Portugal, worst case scenario. But who knows? I think Switzerland have enough to knock Portugal off, to be fair. So I think like your chances of reaching the semi-finals, I think, go up higher on that side of the bracket, even though the Spain game is obviously much tougher than the Japan game.
The first hurdle is tougher.
Yeah, exactly. But then you don't have to play a Brazil team who I don't like the way you guys match up against Brazil. I think Brazil will just have too much physicality, too much on the wings.
Oh yeah.
I don't like that matchup for you guys. Whereas on the other side of the bracket, I think semi-finals look really realistic. But obviously, you can beat Brazil in a one-off game. But in all probability, you're going to have to ride your luck a lot to get that result, because I just see Brazil being too strong.
Well, we need to get past Japan first, and
that is the thing. And they have beaten Spain and Germany in this World Cup somehow.
Well, we'll get into obviously those matchups, but is there anything else from Group F to talk about, or not?
I don't need to bash on Belgium anymore. I actually thought
you were actually correct in your World Cup preview, where you thought that either Belgium or you wouldn't be surprised if either Belgium or Croatia didn't qualify.
Well, I can't claim to be correct because I still picked Belgium and Croatia to go.
Yeah, but you still said that you wouldn't be surprised, and I think you said, if I'm not mistaken, you were more inclined to say Belgium won't qualify.
Yeah, definitely. I was with you on that one. I thought Croatia were stronger going in. And to your point, I think you made this a couple of pods ago. It was because Croatia have successfully regenerated some of those parts of the squad, and they've been a little bit lucky that a Guardiola's fallen into their laps, and he looks like an actual world-class prospect. But yeah, they just dealt with that better than Belgium have over the last 4 years, and that's why I gave Belgium not little shot, because obviously I picked him to go through, but I said what I said, and I don't know. I don't need to bash on Belgium anymore. Canada, we already touched on them for the next World Cup. I do love watching Alphonso Davies. I think Jonathan David was a big disappointment in this World Cup, along with a few others. Maybe a Darwin Núñez, a little bit disappointed. They came to life this morning, which we'll touch on later. But Yeah, I think he would have wanted to put himself in the shop window a bit more. He didn't really do that, but yeah, I think it's right that Morocco and Croatia go through this group.
Yeah, well, the way
And yeah,
Morocco been playing, I reckon they could actually give
well,
Spain some trouble the way they play. But
I guess we'll touch on that.
we'll
And
touch on that. Yeah.
yeah,
But Group E, like you said at the start, we almost had Japan and Costa Rica going through for that 5 minutes.
madness, all madness. That was my voice went so squeaky, and I was just like, "What is it?" Like my hands were like, "What is happening? How are Spain and Germany gonna be knocked out
Hang
right
on,
now? This is
before
insane."
before we go on, do you watch the matches live or no?
No,
Okay,
I
so
just managed to.
so
avoid.
you avoided the results? Did you have both games going on at the same time?
You have to because they give you spoilers from the other game.
Yeah,
They tell you
see,
like what's happening.
The
so-
thing is, here I haven't been watching both games at the same time because they only show one game on TV and then like no one else broadcasts it. I think you can access it through their like digital channel, like so through the web browser. But I haven't bothered to do that. Don't really care. But yeah, so you've been having it side by side.
Yeah, one on the laptop, one on the TV.
Live, not live.
No, not live.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like because they do obviously spoil it, which sort of makes me not want to go and watch the game, so I just watch the highlights. But yeah, I watched the Spain Japan one, and it was eerily similar to Germany Japan. Like scary
It was
similar.
nearly the same. Just a different formation for Japan in the first half, but it was pretty much the same. I think it's such a fluke that Japan have gotten through to the next round. Two like 5-minute salvos in 2 games against genuine world-class opposition where you've been, for me, pretty much battered in the game up until that point. I think it's truly unbelievable. And obviously, the whole time when Japan went through, I was watching like the studio analysts back here on SBS with like Craig Foster and Mark Bosnich and all that. And I was just thinking, man, I would be the worst person to have on one of these couches for a post-game show. I would be bringing the mood down so much. I'd be like, it's an absolute tragedy that Japan are through. Germany should be going through this group. I want to be watching Germany. People would hate me for it.
Well,
I can't help but feel it after these sort of things happen when you're watching a team. And it's not like Japan came out and like the coach was getting slaughtered for team selection being too negative and all of this. And it does exactly the same thing. And because the result flukily goes his way, now he's lauded as some sort of mastermind, makes the right changes, gets it right. It's like, oh, come on, relax, guys. Can you not acknowledge that this is a small sample size as they've had 2 5-minute spells in games where they've been completely outplayed, and that's somehow enough to carry them through the group.
But
like Real Madrid last year in the Champions League.
But you know what though? Oh, you can't compare this. Come on,
because Real Madrid did it with moments of pure quality, pure footballing genius.
Yeah, at least the team itself, like all round, is world class players.
Well, it was good enough. Yeah, it was good enough to produce those moments. Exactly.
Yeah.
It was harsh. It was hyperbole. I'm sorry.
Come on, man. You're obviously still a bit of Liverpool fan. But you know what? Had we have gotten Spain, Unai Simon, he's a weak link.
Man.
I cannot believe Enrique actually trusts him as the goalkeeper, considering he wants to play that way where he plays out from the back. How do you trust him? Like, how are you picking him as your first choice goalkeeper? Like last year at the Euros, he was exposed.
Yeah, it's a weird one because I've been watching most of Bilbao's games this year, and I've watched him in goals, obviously, for them, and I've thought he's been really solid. He hasn't really made these kinds of mistakes. So Spain, Unai Simon is just a different beast that we're dealing with. And my God, the balls that he gives away at the back, the license he takes, and I imagine he's given by the manager to play those risky balls, like the one that we see to Balde for the first goal. And also, I must also say, I think Jordi Alba would control that ball. But I don't think Balde's up to that level, obviously. I think he's a little bit overrated for me, but maybe he's young, so he might become a good player. I don't know. I don't quite see it with him. But yeah, it's just wow. And then the lack of positioning, the lack of wrist strength to turn that ball away for the second, I think it was, or the first. Oh my God, yeah, big weak link. And I think moving forward, and maybe here's where it probably doesn't play into Croatia's hands if they were playing Spain. I think now we've seen the blueprint by Germany, and now we've seen it by Japan, that force the ball back to the goalkeeper and then press high. This team's a bit vulnerable.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's a blueprint for me. It's right there sitting for Morocco, who like you,
Oh,
I imagine you're
man.
going to say, yeah, are a team who will like doing that.
Like when as it was developing, and like and considering we finished second, like that so we knew we were second. We knew, okay, we're most likely getting Spain. As the game was developing, I was like, and there was a couple of times where they pressed him and he was looking very shaky, and I was like, well, this is like Dalic is watching this game. He's like, all right, I'm taking notes here. What, like, press the goalkeeper, make sure the ball goes all the way back to the goalkeeper, and press the goalkeeper and force the mistakes. And we don't get. And I'm like, and the midfield battle is. I think the midfield battle is there for us to win it. Like you said, if Croatia potentially goes up against Brazil, we're going to get killed on the wings. I don't think that's the case when we play against Spain. So that game is like, there's a blueprint there, as you said, to beat Spain. And what is it? I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that when we actually talk about Spain in the round of 16. But like, how does Enrique fix that?
I don't know who the other goalkeepers in the squad are, to be quite honest, because it's sort of a given that Unai Simon is the goalkeeper. But yeah, I think we'll obviously talk more about Spain a bit later. So I think we should probably touch on Germany.
But one second, before we get, we need to obviously address two of the talking points.
The ball.
Firstly, the ball. I think FIFA showed they yesterday clarified, like, with the picture. Like, I don't know whether I think they might have put a bird's eye view of the ball.
I imagine that's the one they used, and yeah, you can't see any grass in there.
Yeah, so they've clarified it. The ball is in.
I just think my rule for this, I'm going heavy on the rules today, but my rule for this is go with on-field decision.
On-field decision was in.
Yeah, exactly. You get 45 seconds to look at it if you can't decide whether it was in or out in that 45 seconds. That 45 seconds is maximum. You just go with on-field decision. Let's keep playing.
I think the reason why it's a talking point, though, is because the angle was always more towards infield. So we're looking at it. So we're obviously going to see more grass, I think. Looking at it from our angle. Yeah. Whereas if you look at it from bird's eye view, directly above the line, it's in.
I've been thinking, I don't think this really solves the problem, but what if the rule was just if any part of the ball is touching a surface outside of play, then it's out. I don't know if it changes anything, but because you're still dealing with these fractions maybe, but yeah, I don't know. And then the thing I was thinking as well, now the pitch opens up, because if you bend a ball in the air around the byline and it comes back into play, then now that's still in play, which I think would be interesting to see, but I don't know. That's just something.
Oh yeah, because
if the ball's in the air and it's over, like a corner or something, then it's still in play.
But what about like the rugby rule, where like if the ball touches the line, then it's considered out, or it's considered?
Yeah, that would be interesting. I guess maybe you don't want to take away that extra bit of pitch for byline. I don't know, maybe, but yeah,
because there's so much play done on the wing.
Yeah,
or on the byline with the wing, again with the wingers. So yeah, like taking away that. How thick are the lines? Are they like 10, 15 centimeters?
Yeah, it looks about that.
Yeah, so it takes away potentially up to 15 centimeters of the pitch. So
fine margins.
I think it impacts. It would favor defenders the rule. If you say
Yeah, of course.
it,
Oh well, except for those curveballs that go out of play and then back in.
Yeah, but not only that, like if the ball touches the line, like if it's any part of the ball, then you're dealing with infield is now considered like So I keep the rule as it is. Maybe put some actual cameras that are bird's eye above the byline, or maybe above the pitch all around, so you can actually see that's running along the line, so you can immediately show to the viewers at home, this is legit, like a 90-degree angle.
Well, the talk is we have goal line technology. Can we not extend it to the whole pitch?
No, because I think there's sensors above the post, above and on the sides, so it's all around the goal. Whereas this would be sensors going from the goal post to the corner flag, maybe, and that's like 30 meters.
Hey, we got 4 more years till the next one. I'm sure they'll find technology.
Well, they can put,
especially after this incident.
Okay, hang on, mate. The other thing is that you put sensors in the actual pitch itself, beneath, because there's sensors in the ball, which is why we got the partial or the semi-automated offside.
The semi-automated offside.
But the other talking point, since the crossover group was done and they knew that Croatia was second and Morocco was first, did Spain throw this game? Because people are saying, like, I think was it Juan Ramos or Hugo Sanchez from Spain said that Spain deliberately threw this game, and you look at the changes that Enrique made and the way that they played out the second half, they knew that finishing, like, Germany can't catch them on goal difference unless they score like 7 goals or 6 or 7 goals, depending on how much Spain lose by. Did they throw this game thinking we would rather play Morocco than Croatia?
No, we threw this out there last pod, didn't we? And we asked, a bit tongue in cheek, whether they might do this, but I have to say that I can't go along. I love a good conspiracy, but I can't go along with this one because the main point is there was a 5-minute spell where they were going out of the World Cup, so they couldn't afford to like tinker with it in that way, because there was still a chance at a scenario that they get knocked out of the World Cup if they don't do their job. And for a couple of very weird, very bizarre minutes, it looked like it might be going that way.
Yeah, and also the fact that, like, players, they have pride, and like you'd expect players, like these players, they're the elite of the elite. Like, so you have obviously, like, this is the best players from the best clubs that have managed to qualify for their national team. So this is the elite of the elite. This is the pinnacle of who can actually go to the World Cup. Because, like, you know, with club football, you'll obviously have some players that aren't elite, but they still make the team. Then that means that these players are obviously ultra professional, ultra competitive, and they don't want to lose any game. And like you said, there was a 5-minute spell where they were getting knocked out as well. So
that would have put the fear of God into them.
Yeah, I don't think that. Look, we can obviously say, like, maybe it's true. We'll never know if it's true. But I doubt it.
I'll say that.
But I highly doubt that it's true. But anyway, moving on to Germany.
German post-mortem. Do they deserve a post-mortem for this World Cup?
Man, like, they only have themselves to blame, really. Like, firstly, they go into the tournament similar to Denmark, you know, with politics on their mind, and they get punished for it in the first game, especially. The second game, they had chances to win. They did look better against Spain. But they had chances to win it, but and even against Costa Rica, like, they knew, okay, we should try, on the off chance that Spain loses, we should try banging as many goals as possible, like, especially in the first half, to put the pressure on Spain. And did they go into the second half? No, so it was a 1-0 lead.
Yeah.
Like, why didn't they put the pressure on Costa Rica? Like I didn't watch the
Well,
game.
to be fair, they tried. They scored the first goal, and there's no celebrations. They just go and get the ball, and they start playing again. Musiala, again, I think he must have a really high XG for the tournament, but he hasn't scored. He hit the post twice in the second half as well. So I don't know. I just think Costa Rica were better, and they always had to be better after the first game against Spain. And unfortunately for Germany, they go out because they played Costa Rica second, and Spain got to play them first. So, because let's not forget, Spain and Germany both lost to Japan. They both did the same thing, and the only reason Spain are going through is because they banged 7 against a very shabby Costa Rica in the first game. But then they improved from that point. But at the same time, Germany had their flaws that you can point to and say they deserve to be knocked out because of these. Absolutely set it back. I might say something controversial. I know Manuel Neuer is always number one. He's captain. It's impossible to drop him because he's somewhat of a living legend. But if you're picking on form and who the better player has been, and definitely this season in my eyes, Marc-Andre ter Stegen should be feeling a little bit livid that he doesn't get to play ever for Germany, no matter what he does. And I think in this tournament, he probably should have been playing in reflection. It's easy to say in hindsight. And like I said, impossible to drop Neuer, but yeah, it's an easy thing to poke at now. There's obviously the defense already poked at it, but I was a bit disappointed because I thought Flick finally did it. He finally put Kimmich at right back and played with that sort of midfield of Gundogan, Goretzka and Musiala. So I thought, all right, he's plugged up another hole. Germany actually don't look like terribly weak at the back anymore. They're not crazy strong, but like I don't think personnel-wise there's many weaknesses in that team anymore. And they look good in the first half against Costa Rica, but obviously the caveat is they needed to go out and score a lot of goals. So Flick changes it, puts Kimmich back into midfield, and that's where they sort of capitulate in the second half for that brief spell. And I guess the big thing, and we touched on German mentality last pod, but the thing I'll say is I would say this German team came in to the tournament with a German mentality because German mentality tends to be, I don't know, in my sort of view from afar, my far experience, there's a bit of arrogance to it. And the Germans have always had that arrogance, but if they're a good side, they have the quality to back up the arrogance that they go into the tournament with. But I don't think they had the quality in key areas, especially at the back, to back up any arrogant notions of playing a la Manuel Neuer, a la Joshua Kimmich at times, this Bayern sort of mentality we saw transfer into the German national team, where they got cocky when they're ahead and they didn't see out. Obviously, that Japan game is the be-all and end-all now, and they didn't see that out. And we saw that with Bayern in the Champions League last year against Villarreal, a team they absolutely should be beating. They got cocky, they got ahead of themselves, they're only a goal up, and they let the tie slip, and that's what happened against Japan, nearly what happened against Costa Rica. And I think when we're talking about reasons why Germany go out, I think it's for that. I don't necessarily think it's a huge... it's hard. It's a little bit of a lack of quality in key areas, but a little bit of a lack of trustworthiness in those key areas. But yeah, I think a great dollop of arrogance is why they go out. And they didn't back
lack
it up.
of mentality.
Yeah, well, but that is a German mentality, like I said, at the same time. It's just, can you back it up? And they didn't, and they crumbled. That's for me, what I saw.
But like while it sort of counters that point as well, like that they go in with arrogance, but then they can back it up because they have the mentality to back it up and the quality. Now, yes, maybe the quality is missing in certain areas, but they should still have the quality to beat Japan and not be on the cusp of losing. I wouldn't say on the cusp, but like not be in a position to be losing to Costa Rica and finishing the tournament on 1 point potentially. Those positions should never happen with a German team.
The Japan one's a bit. The Japan one's a fluke, like I said. Two goals in 5 minutes. They didn't defend well, I know.
They did it twice.
They didn't defend well, and too many players. Well, they still recovered from the Costa Rica one, to be fair, and they still won 4-2 pretty comfortably in the end. But yeah, no. I think there's reasons why we can point to them not being in the tournament anymore, but it's a little harsh to go full post-mortem on them because I I really don't think they were that bad.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like, they only have themselves to blame at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
So
can agree with that. That's
yeah,
fine.
they didn't come in and do the job, and yeah, they only got themselves to blame. Now, moving on to the next day of games. Uh, South Korea, Portugal, Ghana, Uruguay. Which game do you want to touch
Crazy
on
one.
first?
I don't know, man.
Because
We'll go Ghana, Uruguay.
there's talking points from both. Like
Of course.
Uruguay. Okay, we've already mentioned like that the first one isn't a penalty. I think I need to see the replay again, but if I'm not mistaken, when he flicks the ball up over the goalkeeper, I'm pretty sure the ball's it's gonna make its first bounce, or it did make its first bounce outside of the field of play. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought he lost control of the
But
ball.
but but the
And I
thing,
thought
but
he
the
was,
fact that, but if you look at where the ball's traveling, if the ball's gonna bounce, did the ball bounce inside the field of play first, or did it bounce all the way outside the field of play first?
I have a feeling it went out. My opinion was when I first saw it, I'm like, well, that he hasn't got that under control.
Yeah,
That's what I
that's the
remember
same.
thinking.
Yeah, that's the same thing. Um,
But it's one of those ones that is always given because he's done the right thing, I guess the right thing, the professional thing, and got to the ball first and made sure there's contact after.
yeah,
But it's up to referees to change that law and to stop giving that for
yeah,
me.
and change the interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still. A part of me says it is a penalty because it's like, well, the keeper still shouldn't be fouling, and like that. That's a foul. Like if you make that foul in the midfield, like not with your hands obviously, but like with your feet, where like you trip a player up, even though he's not going to get possession of the ball after he nicks it. That's still going to be given as a foul, correct? But your counter argument to that is then that for penalties it needs to be a higher threshold.
No, I'm saying for the whole game. I'm saying even in the midfield, if that ball's not under your control, I think we've got to stop giving those fouls. It's just incidental contact once the ball's gone.
Yeah, well, look, I can see it from both sides of the argument, but I think for me, I'm more on the side that it's not a penalty.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and then
But I think yeah, go on.
no, but then Uruguay go on to score 2 goals after that, like after saving the penalty. But I gotta say, the penalty was fucking awful, man. Like,
Oh, it was terrible.
I was like,
And like
what is this
you
run
open,
up?
you open yourself up to look like an idiot when you take that long on the run up. Just
Yeah.
pick a corner and try and hit that corner. For
Yeah, and
God's
just,
sake.
and just smash it. Like at least,
Yeah, it was
like
terrible.
at least with Messi's against Chesney, he hit it like there was you can't argue with the run up. Like it was a normal run up. And he put some power into it. Like it wasn't a smash.
The thing that shocks
like,
me, the thing that shocks me with Messi is for this guy who can hit such pinpoint passes. Why can he not hit corners from penalties? I just feel like he should be able to hit corners and just like give keepers no chance.
maybe a little bit of nerves
It's
or
not very
something.
good. Yeah, it must be, but the Andre Ayew one is a debacle.
Oh, man.
I reckon referees should have discretion if they see a run up like that, just cancel the penalty.
No. The ref should have discussion to give the penalty taker a yellow card. Like I think I was watching.
It's just taking too long.
But like I think with referees have they have discretion with excessive celebrations. They should have discretion with shit penalty takes. Yeah. Like just give him a yellow card. Like.
But no, I thought after the penalty, I thought Uruguay looked the best they've looked all tournament.
Yeah.
It was. I thought I'm disappointed because I think it would have been exciting to see Diadasketa, I believe his name is, playing at Flamengo. I thought he looked obviously really good in the game with 2 goals. Darwin was finally doing some things, I guess. I thought he was pretty poor in the first 2 games, but sort of came to life in this one. It was going to be disappointing for them because it looked like they lost Bentancur. He looked pretty upset, but yeah, I thought Uruguay were clicking into place. And then obviously what happens in the other game. Well, obviously before that, Alonso takes all his attackers off. I guess Suarez, it was time for him because he'd already played his 60 minutes. But he probably didn't have to take Arteta off, and he was the brightest player. And or Nunez, yeah. And I thought it was questionable because like we'd seen it the day before, and like Japan beat Spain in a game they didn't expect to win, and so you've got to expect that South Korea can win, or the Korean Republic can win their game. So yeah, it was a questionable one, and obviously Uruguayans love to blame the referees after the game. I don't really like, I believe his name's Seifert, the German referee, but I thought he had a decent game. I don't really like his style of refereeing and like how he referees, but I thought in this game he was fine.
Do you think Uruguay had arguments for both those shouts? Because
definitely not the Cavani one.
For me, the Cavani one, yes, and the Nunez one, they're both penalties for me. I don't know which one is more of a penalty, but they're both.
Actually, I don't think either is a penalty.
Hang on. With the Nunez one, who was it? Was it Amati that was tackling him?
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, so Nunez gets in front of him, right? He gets in front. He does.
They're jostling for the ball, man. For me, it's 50-50 there.
But then if you're putting your leg across his legs and you don't, he didn't get the ball, did he? He didn't make it. He didn't make any contact.
He got a touch. No, he got a touch on the ball.
It didn't look like he got a touch at all.
He got a touch on the ball. You can look at it back, but he got a touch on the ball.
I need to have a
look from a few angles.
I need to have another look on it, but from what I saw, he didn't get a touch on the ball. I didn't see a touch on the ball, but if he got a touch on the ball, okay, fair enough. No arguments there. If he managed to get a touch, but I don't think he did. The Cavani one is 100% a penalty for me.
No, it's
100%.
Because they're running side by side, and then
Cavani gets in front of him. Cavani gets in front of him.
No,
he gets in front of him.
That's a striker's opinion. That ball's not under his control, and he just decides, I want to win a penalty, so I'm going to stand in front. I'm going to put my leg and plant it. And this guy who's running in a straight line is going to obviously run into my leg. For me, that's a foul against Cavani. He's the one who's impeding the defender there. No way. I cannot go along with that in any circumstance.
Nah.
It was never a penalty.
Well, we obviously don't agree on that one, but like, and you, I guess, I don't know if that's more because of the positions that we played, but for me, that is 100% a penalty. Because he does get in front of him.
No, he puts his leg in front of him. His whole body
doesn't.
is
he doesn't put it across him.
If he was in front of him, for me, in front of him has to be, I am barging you in the back. Otherwise, we are side by side. And he is side by side, and he just sticks his leg in front of the defender and then goes down. For me, that's a foul against Cavani.
Nah, well, like I said, I don't agree with you on that one. But
football is a game of opinions.
Yeah, but regardless,
it happens to be wrong here.
I do. We'll disagree to agree. But regardless, I think that Uruguay, at the end of the day, though, regardless of those two decisions, they still have themselves to blame. They took a pragmatic approach against South Korea. They took a pragmatic approach against Portugal. And then they pretty much left it out of their hands against Ghana. Like, knowing that they needed a win, but they also needed the result to go their way in the other game.
But I will also say, what kind of Portugal did Uruguay play, and what kind of Portugal did the Korean Republic play?
Yeah,
I think there's. I don't know if there's a way of fixing that, but that would feel bitter to me that we had to play the full version of this team, and then the team who go and beat them and go through to the next round, they get to play a half version in the last game. So I don't know. It just feels I'd be a bit salty about that. I am a bit salty about that because I'd prefer to watch Uruguay over the Korean Republic.
Let's quickly address that. Is there, off the cuff, is there anything to address that? Because you had one team that's guaranteed qualification.
No, because I think you can't punish the team who have done their job and have got themselves into a position where they can rest their players by saying you can't do that, because that's their right. But at the same time, for the spirit of competition between the other teams vying for second, it's obviously not great for them. So off the top of my head, I know, and we've sort of grappled this in club football as well for a while with resting players. So off the top of my head, I don't know what you could do about it, and I don't know if anything should be done about it. I guess it's just one of the vagaries of tournament football like this. It's just what can happen, I guess. And to your point, Uruguay, if they were clearly a superior team to the Korean Republic, should have taken care of them in their match against them. So yeah, like you can always blame them because they're not through, and ultimately you had it in your hands and you could have gone through. But there also is some nuance in that conversation where you can say, well, look at the circumstances around the results in each game as well.
But also, like, why Uruguay? They knew, for instance, what if? Okay, they would have known. Okay, Portugal's qualified. They are expected to field a weaker team, whether they field 2 of their first 11, 3, 4, 7, whatever. They're going to field a weaker team, most likely, which then gives South Korea an opportunity to get a result where they might win. And then it's like, okay, well, if we know that we need to beat Ghana, goal difference is going to come into play. And then after goal difference, the whole yellow card situation or whatever. So we know we need to try and score as many goals as possible. And that they knew that game is 1-1. Any team can nick it. Like, if Portugal nicks it, fantastic. If South Korea nicks it, shit, we need another goal. We need another 2 goals. I think it was 1 goal that they needed.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah. So they knew that there's a possibility that South Korea can win it and goal difference can come into play. So why are you taking off all these strikers then with 30 minutes left to go? Especially Nunez. Like, 'cause Nunez he's young, he's fit. Keep him on the field.
I guess he was on a yellow card. That's the only thing I'll say. And he does have a tendency to be a bit of a hothead. But to take him and Skeder off as well at the same time, he's having a good game. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, Uruguay they have themselves to blame at the end of it. Like you said, they should have beaten. If they wanted to take it out of South Korea's hands, they should have beaten South Korea in the first game.
Yeah. So, but I think your point on what happened on this match day is probably the biggest accusation you could level at Uruguay for not managing their game today better against Ghana.
Yeah.
And I guess we got to say fair play to Korea and Son, who this might be the greatest moment of his career. To be fair, that ball that he played has set up his nation going through to the knockout stage, where no one really fancied them. So. Yeah, fair play to them, but, good on them.
Yeah, well done. Is that three teams now from the Asian region that have qualified for the round of 16?
Nuts. And 3 who I would argue there were a lot stronger teams in the tournament than those 3 to not be going through to the round of 16.
And you have two African nations, Morocco and Senegal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you wouldn't have expected 3 Asian nations. Would you have expected 1?
Maybe not. I wouldn't have even expected 1.
Yeah,
but
considering the
groups, been shocked if 1 got through. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't have expected 1.
Out of all 3, it probably would have been South Korea that you expected.
Probably.
Yeah. Credit to Asia, man. One of the strongest continents.
Crazy to say that.
Or regions or whatever.
More representatives than South America. My God, man.
More represent this. What is it? The second most representatives? Because more representatives in Africa.
Yeah. And obviously North America only has 1.
Mm.
There you go. Wow.
Anyway, moving on. Oh man, Group G. Serbia, Switzerland. That was a fun game. That was chaos. That was good.
We were right. We were right when we did the preview, or when we did the last international one about who's going to be a fun side, Serbia, because that's exactly what they were. They were fun
for the wrong reasons.
Ultimately, they weren't very good. I don't think they could have complaints of being knocked out because that defense. Oh my God, that was shambolic.
You know what? You know how I did my Yugoslavia 11. I had no Serbian back 5. I had
And
no
you were
one,
right.
and I was right.
You were completely
I think I was justified with that. You know what? I'm gonna just I know I'm probably skipping ahead, but I'm gonna say why the hell was Milinkovic Savic taken off?
Oh yeah,
Is
that
he
one was
is there an injury
confusing.
there or something like?
Yeah, I could at least understand Vlahovic because there was injury
Yeah,
concerns, I guess, or injury clouds. But yeah, the Milinkovic Savic one, I didn't understand at all. Why
yeah,
you take him off when you need those goals? But I
and
think
you need
second
control in
half,
the midfield.
Serbia are never going to have control on games, man. You just hold on and friggin' hope for the best with Serbia because they're all over the place. But they've got two out and out centre forwards up front, which is always good fun to watch. I thought they might do the unthinkable and put Luka Jovic on as a third out and out centre forward. We'll just pump the box. Let's go.
Well, they did bring him on, but they brought him on. Then they brought
Or
Mitrovic.
Vlahovic.
No, it didn't. Wasn't he brought on
Mi-
for
Mi-
Mitrovic? Mitrovic got taken
Nah,
off, didn't he?
Mitrovic finished. Nah, Mitrovic finished the game. I'm pretty sure he
Hang
was
on.
being a menace at the end of the game,
I know he
getting
was,
in
but
people's
I'm pretty
faces.
sure. No. Okay, yeah, he didn't get taken off. Yes, so Vlahovic got taken off. That would have been for Jovic. But
But yeah,
bloody hell, man! Like some
Switzerland.
of these
Switzerland.
some of
Yeah.
the subs were questionable, though. I reckon.
Well, definitely the Milinkovic Savic one. That's
Yeah.
the biggest one for me. But are Switzerland a loser today for not going for it and not try to get out of this bracket and go over and join the other? I think they were there for the taking. To be honest, I think Serbia were there.
Yeah, I think and they had that chance. Was around the 80th minute or something when the left-sided midfielder that came on. It wasn't Vargas. Who was it?
I'm not sure.
Maybe it was Vargas.
Anyway, go
Do,
on.
do you remember that chance? I think it was at 3-2, and then he was there was a breakaway, and then it might have been Vargas, where the left-sided midfielder he got the ball fed through to him, and then his touch was a little bit too heavy, and Savic managed to come out off his line, and then he pretty much just the player just side-footed it into the goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Well, I thought, yeah,
That should have
vaguely,
been
but
a
I
clear
thought,
chance. Like if you have a little bit more quality with your first touch, or even just take the goalkeeper on.
but I thought Switzerland showed a lack of ambition to
Yeah.
want to score more goals, and I guess. Look, it's hard to criticise them because there is still a scenario that they get knocked out if they draw the game and Cameroon win, which ultimately Cameroon did win and whatever. But at the same time, they had a big chance to get out of, I guess, to get out of this side of the bracket and probably, I don't know, Croatia against Switzerland would have been a matchup. I think that would have been a tough
It would
game
have
for
been, yeah.
Croatia. And yeah, you've got a chance to make a semi-final on that side of the bracket. So yeah, I think maybe a bit of a missed
But then
opportunity.
you know what would be funny then? You know how we talked about Spain potentially losing on purpose, and then they get Brazil on their side anyway.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been crazy. Man.
But yeah, bloody hell, that game was it was a really good game. Then you obviously had Xhaka provoking players right at the end.
Yeah, winding up.
And yeah, he did well not to get a red card. He did well not to react pretty much at all. It was pretty much just him winding them up. And it was obviously the Serbs getting. Look, Serbs are known to have a very short temper and be more aggressive of the Balkan nations. And
There were some sore losers today. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Serbia were sore losers. Uruguay were very sore losers today. Yeah, a few sore losers.
yeah, but look at Serbia as well. That defense is shambolic. They gave up a
It's not
3-1
it.
lead against Cameroon.
Yeah.
They gave up a 2-1 lead against Switzerland. No, that defense.
Just quietly though. Excuse me. How good was the Mitrovic header?
Oh
It was
yeah.
so nice. I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brain after I watched that. Have I seen a more consistently superb header of the football in my lifetime. It might speak to my generation, obviously, that heading isn't as prevalent as as it might have been 20, 30 years ago. Well, that's what I'm saying. Ronaldo's a more spectacular header of a footballer. Mitrovic, there's he's more clinical, I feel.
Ramos.
If he's getting Ramos is good, especially when you need it. Yeah. He's quite good from there. But Mitrovic is he'll bully you to get to the ball, and if he gets to the ball, he'll hit corners with his headers. He hits them right into the corners. And yeah, he's just a stunning header of the ball, and that sort of proved it. But yeah, no, I thought it was a fun game. I didn't think there was much to analyse, but definitely a fun game. And Switzerland, I think, ultimately deserved to go through, even though I'm not too high on them either. But I was watching. I obviously had the Brazil-Cameroon game on the other laptop, and fair play to Cameroon for beating Brazil, the first African nation to beat Brazil in a World Cup finals tournament. And obviously, always the funny comedic moment of a player taking off their shirt and getting a second yellow card and getting sent off.
Do you know why that rule exists? Because my sister asked me about it. She's like, why is that even a thing? And I couldn't really explain it to her. I'm like, yeah, it's been around for 20 years, since 2004. Apparently, it exists to stop time wasting. Because it falls in the bracket of excessive celebrations, but where the excessive celebrations, it's at the discretion of the referee. This one isn't at the discretion of the referee. It's an automatic yellow. But again, it was introduced to apparently stop time wasting. Which is stupid.
There you go.
It's stupid.
But I reckon that's a pretty iconic way if he doesn't play in another World Cup for Abubakar to go out, especially with all the stories about him saying he's better than Salah and everything coming to the fore this World Cup. I know he said him ages ago, but what I was thinking, and I know they lost the game ultimately, but how high up your list of contenders would you put the Brazilian B team if both of them were playing Brazil A and Brazil B? How high would you put them up? Because I think I flirted with having them as the third best team at this World Cup. If it's just Brazil B. Yeah.
Let's have a look. Because I didn't watch this game.
Okay, so the team was Edison, Alex Telles at left back, Bremer and Eder Militao as the centre backs.
Isn't Militao the first choice or no? No, Marquinhos. Marquinhos and Thiago Silva first choice. Yeah.
And Thiago Silva. And then Dani Alves, the 39-year-old at right back. Fred, the turd in the punch bowl. But I think you could replace him with Bruno Guimaraes.
Yeah, because he isn't playing the first team.
Then, next to Fabinho. And then Anthony and Martinelli on either wing with Rodrigo and Jesus up front. For me, that might be the third best team of the World Cup.
Replace Fred with Guimaraes.
Yeah, that's the only change. But you could do that, like you said. He's not been a starter.
Yeah. That's actually a really frightening 11.
I know.
It's actually frightening.
I'd only put the French starting 11 as better. And to the point as well, if we're talking about squad depth, the French B team is nowhere near that. The French B team might be the 17th best team in the tournament. So, yeah, scary that Brazil can put out the A team, which is probably the best team at the tournament. And the V team, I've got to say, would probably be third. They'd probably be above Spain and maybe just above Portugal. Them versus Portugal would maybe be a bit of an argument.
Yeah, I think this team gives even France's A team a run for its money.
I was going to say, yeah, if you wanted to make that argument about them versus France, I could listen to it.
The only I guess maybe question mark is Dani Alves at right back because he's 39. Yeah. He's lost a lot of that speed, but he's still a very good player.
Yeah, I still thought he was pretty good in this game. You could see the sharpness and that speed on the ball, but his know-how of where to be and how to move.
But yeah, take Fred out of that. Far out.
Yeah, I know. The turd in the punch ball, Fred.
Yeah, damn that team. I'm just looking at it right now.
It's ridiculous.
How do you stop Anthony and Martinelli on either wing as well?
I know.
Far out,
man. And Jesus played badly today, but imagine having him as
You,
not
you
an
you
A
know,
option.
you know, one thing that I was uh considering yesterday was how the talk, and like, we're sort of going a little bit off topic here, but like how the talk was basically that this World Cup would disrupt certain teams, like it might disrupt Arsenal, it might disrupt Man City, like their runs, and it might actually help the mid-table, lower-table teams that don't have players going to this World Cup. I think Danny Murphy was saying that it's actually going to help the teams that have players going to the World Cup because they're actually going to be playing consistent football throughout the World Cup.
Yeah.
However, the argument, I guess, for Arsenal is Martinelli is not playing every game. Jesus isn't playing every game. So they're not playing consistent 90 minutes of football.
Gabriel went as well, didn't he? Didn't he make the squad in the end?
No.
He didn't make the squad.
No, he didn't. But yeah, like you have both of our star players, both of our star forwards that were in form. They're not playing, so this could actually disrupt their form if they continue to play bit part minutes throughout the tournament.
Or they could come back to Arsenal as World Cup winners, but with that confidence boost, but without the tax on the legs of having to play every game.
Yeah, that's another possibility as well.
You could spin it. You could spin it any way you want it, really. But I'm with you. It will be interesting to see how they come back.
And then
the players of this World Cup.
Also Edison as well. He's playing. He's like, but then again, I don't know how much it impacts goalkeepers because like, but maybe it does. I don't know. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, how players are when they come back, especially the ones that like they're starting 11 for their club teams, but they're not starting 11 for their national teams.
And players who have either won the World Cup or have got to the later stages and been crushed, and especially players whose World Cup it might be their last. So. Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see. Physically is one thing, but mentally, how a lot of these players come back to club action after such a grueling, taxing, high-pressure month for a lot of the top-class players who expect to go deep.
Yeah, I think also now that the group stages are over, I think club football is going to be coming back with friendlies.
Oh, there you go.
I think so. And, so there might be that to look forward to if you want to watch some club football friendlies.
I'm good with the World Cup quarterfinals and round of 16 games. But
yeah, I've been pleasantly surprised with this World Cup. I think it's been a very good World Cup.
Is this your question about the meta or whatever you call it? Is this what we're going to?
Not really. Let's go through. We'll get into the round of 16, and then I guess maybe the question will be as we lead into the round of 16. But yeah, like we've seen, especially in these later groups, we've seen the teams that have been more on the front foot, like a Japan, like a Morocco as well.
No. I'm not allowing. You can't put Japan in that front foot category. Japan are not a front
maybe
foot team.
maybe not for the 90 minutes. Maybe not for the 90 minutes.
For 5 minutes, okay. For 5 minutes at each game.
When
then after those 5 minutes, we'll sit again.
When they've needed to be.
Man, I can't.
But we've basically seen pragmatic teams be punished. Belgium have been a little bit pragmatic. Denmark play a little bit more pragmatic as well. We've basically seen them get punished, and the teams that play a little bit more on the front foot get rewarded.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but your ultimate example of being punished for being pragmatic is Uruguay, who go out on not enough goals scored. So we always say defenses win you tournaments. Well, apparently not, because if you focus too much on defense, you could get knocked out for not scoring enough goals.
But yeah, like I said, Australia, they've played a little bit on the front foot, as much on the front foot as they can for the quality that they have.
I could agree with that. And we got lucky that we had Denmark in our group. So yeah.
Yeah. But then like you have someone like Poland who I think they play
there's no style. What are you meant to say about Poland? They play nothing.
But then also we have like Senegal. Senegal play more on the front foot as well. But yeah, like I said, I think there's been more surprises in teams getting knocked out. Germany have played a little bit pragmatic rather than on the front foot. Had they been on the front foot, they would have got the result against Japan. They would have got a better result against Costa Rica. They possibly could have also gotten a result against Spain. Knowing that they needed to get a result against Spain after losing against Japan, they decided to go in a little bit more pragmatic. Just because Japan dropped the ball and lost, they thought, okay, we don't need to be as on the front foot. So again, they get punished.
Yeah, I think that's somewhat fair. I don't know. I really don't know. It's hard to compare. If we're comparing to other World Cups, have we advanced? Maybe the way of defending has advanced, so that rather than these low blocks, maybe the new way of defending is pressing, containing higher up the pitch. It's still, I guess, defensive. It's out of possession football, not defensive football. So the out of possession side of it has just taken a new face. No. There's a lot of theories. I can't put my finger on one of them. I don't even necessarily say I 100% agree with what you're saying. I think I don't know. It'll be interesting because I think
there's arguments for and against.
Yeah, and Japan have been pragmatic. Definitely for me. I think Korea have been okay. They got a little bit lucky with just, I guess, losing to Ghana by scoring 2 goals, I guess, is what takes them through. So I don't know. It's hard for me to say, but I think maybe more athletic footballers, if we keep evolving, maybe that's leading to it as well. The deficiency is more to run rather than to sit in a low block, and maybe a shallow pool of truly top class defenders as well to call on for all of these countries. Is leading to. Maybe it's leading to it looking a little bit better because mistakes are being punished now. You point to Unai Simon, obviously terrible goalkeeping. Casillas back in the day is a great goalkeeper. He saves that, I think. So yeah, maybe the actual quality in defensive areas, Germany as well, you could point to, is leading to more goals being scored by these lesser teams. I don't know. Like I say, I think my big takeaway is I really can't say one way or the other with any certainty.
Yeah, well, let's see how it progresses, because there could still be some surprises along the way, considering now it's knockouts. So that leads us into it. Shall we? Do you reckon we can wrap up the knockouts in 15 minutes? Because we're close to 2 hours.
We'll try. But I can't promise we'll try. We'll say we'll try, but I can't promise.
All right, no promises. Netherlands, USA.
What are we doing?
I don't know. How do you... Should we... Are we going to... On some of them, we can go a little bit more in-depth if you want, but I don't know how in-depth I can go with Netherlands, USA. You would expect... Yeah,
exactly, and I think...
You expect Netherlands to go through.
Well, I touched on it. I'll take us to a bigger picture place. I touched on it earlier. But what we have is the possibility on this side of the bracket, and I think as football fans, we're all hoping for this. We could have Brazil versus Argentina in the semi-final of the World Cup on this side of the bracket, and I, for one, am crossing my fingers and hoping for that because I'm sorry to you, I know Croatia's on this side of the bracket, but Brazil, Argentina, World Cup semi-final, Messi's last World Cup, maybe Neymar's last World Cup. Oh, I can't think of much more fun than that.
It's definitely the most mouth-watering, potentially mouth-watering fixture on this side of the bracket. But I don't know, like Netherlands, they could pull off the upset once again against Argentina if both Argentina and Netherlands go through into the quarterfinals. But I know there's no Dennis Bergkamp, but there could be Cody Gakpo. just have that Dutch commentator go crazy again. Like, I don't know. Netherlands, I think, have a team that could give the Argentina a run for its money. I think.
I don't. And like here is the bit you clip out and
hang on. It'll be Argentina's first test.
Yeah, definitely. Although, I know this isn't going to happen, but can you imagine if Australia knocked out Lionel Messi out of the world, out of his last World Cup. Could you imagine?
Oh
I don't
man,
think I'd quite. I can't believe we're here. I don't think I'd be able to
I
believe that.
think
But
I think Matthias would like rip up his Australian passport. Like out of anger, and he'd probably go and destroy some shit like on the streets.
it'd be crazy. But I guess like going into the quarterfinal, if it goes to chalk and we expect it to be Netherlands Argentina, I don't quite like that matchup for the Netherlands because I don't think they're a team who try to assert any control on the midfield, playing in that sort of 5-2-1-2. They sort of leave a lot of space in that midfield, and I think Argentina will have a field day with that. And then they're not really a sort of containing, counter-pressing team, the Dutch. They don't really want to get in your face. I think that suits Argentina down to the ground to allow their players to slowly transition the ball up the pitch, allow Messi and Lautaro and Julian Alvarez or whoever it is to get into position, and then they can sort of beat you with those clever, intricate movements around the box. So for me, the Dutch will have to change the way they play to gain advantages in that game. Something that I don't know if they're capable of doing it because they've played this way for so long now. So yeah, personally, I don't like that matchup for the Dutch, but I do agree that it's still the Dutch. They still have really good defenders. If Virgil van Dijk's on the top of his game, if Timber and De Ligt or Ake or whoever it be, top of their games, if maybe Dumfries can cause some problems on that right wing, and obviously if Gakpo and Depay can link up front and maybe be found with Frankie de Jong or Koopmeiners or whoever is playing in the midfield. They definitely have enough quality to cause problems. I just don't like the matchup. And I guess on the other side, I don't think I really want to go into too much depth on the round of 16. And again, this is where I look like an idiot in a week. But yeah, looking ahead to that Brazil-Croatia sort of quarterfinal, which is what I guess we'd expect it to be. I know you can't take anything
on paper
for
you'd
granted in
expect it to be.
football, yeah. But yeah, I think we touched on that. I just think Brazil will have too much physicality for Croatia, I think. And they're complete enough in the tactical and technical aspects of the game that they can compete with Croatia in those aspects and then blow them away with their physicality. So they're two matchups I don't like for Croatia and the Netherlands if we get those, what we expect, quarterfinals on this side of the bracket.
Yeah, well, if that's the matchup that we get, so like on paper you'd expect Croatia to beat Japan and Brazil to beat South Korea. If that's the matchup that we get, like obviously we expect Croatia to get severely challenged on the wings. But does Brazil concede the midfield? And do they play a little bit more on the counter-attack then?
Well, it will be interesting to see which Neymar we get, if Neymar is back, of course, by then. Yeah, because then if he's not back, it might give Tite more options to pack the midfield and combat Croatia's only real strength that they might be able to exploit over Brazil, because that's the only place where I can see you winning matchups, because that Brazilian defense is stifling. And I think it's going to have to be more a moment of luck, maybe Luka Modric magic to unlock it. But even then, are the strikers good enough to capitalize? I don't know. I fancy that Brazilian defense to win that matchup. And then, like you say, a Vini on the wing against, and poor Juranovic, he's going to have to, if this comes to fruition, he's going to have to play Alphonso Davies, who made him look like a little boy in that game, and then he has to play Vinny later in the tournament, which will not look very fun.
But maybe the experience of playing against Davies, and then as the game progressed, he started to actually come into the game and started to like not get on top, but deal with it,
hold his own.
Yeah. Maybe that experience will help him in this matchup if we get the matchup.
He's going to need it, because Vinny is one scary proposition.
But let's not get ahead of ourselves too much. Like Croatia, Japan, that it's going to be very similar to the Japan, Germany, and Japan, Spain games, because Croatia play in a very similar way. I do think that our midfield is better than both of those midfields, so we should be able to control the game a little bit more. You know what? I actually think it depends on which Kovacic turns up that day, because he's been the one, like against against Canada and against Belgium, he's been the one that's been, out of those three in midfield, he's been the one that's been running with the ball and breaking the lines with the ball and also without it, the most out of those three. And he's been that difference maker to unlock those midfield lines and even up until the defensive lines as well. So if Kovac is on form, then I think that's going to be the key to this game.
Yeah, I could go with that. I think, but I think Luka Modric, if Japan play the way they played against Spain and Germany, very sort of low block, sort of defensive in the first half, I guess is what you could say. I think that might give opportunities for Luka Modric to start being more of that player, because I think in games against Belgium and Canada that were maybe a bit more open games, Luka Modric saw a need for him to have to help Brozovic a bit more, I think, because obviously Brozovic coming in with no real match sharpness straight into a World Cup final. So I think Luka Modric is so smart that he can see that from his teammates. That's what makes him an exceptional leader. And I think he's focused a bit more of his energy on helping out with the defensive work in key moments. And then obviously popping up with some moments of quality going forward as well. But yeah, you're right. Kovacic has been the line breaker and the forward mover out of the three. So yeah, I think it's just important that they keep their control of the game and don't give the Japanese anything, because obviously we've seen how fruitful they can make little 5-minute power plays in these games, and that's 10 minutes has taken them to the round of 16 as group winners. So that's what you got to be scared of with that team.
Yeah, that's why, like, going into this, I was like, would I rather Spain or would I rather Japan? Like, on paper, yeah, you would probably rather Japan, but like the way they've been playing, like, it's gonna be, it could be difficult depending on if they have those like power plays.
Yeah, the power.
They can give you they can give you like this unnecessary trouble. It's like unexpected trouble, I think they can give you.
Yeah, I get you. Like it's a more of a lose-lose game against Japan, because you're expected to win. So even if you win, it's like I guess it's a place in the quarterfinal of the World Cup. So you've won something, but you're expected to beat Japan. Whereas Spain is like a massive deal. It's like we're not expected to beat Spain, but they'd have a good chance to do it, and yeah, a bit less expectations, I guess, going into a game like that.
Brazil, South Korea, where do you think the matchups there will be, if any? Because I honestly don't. I'm not familiar with the South Korean team except for Son and Kim. Don't know who else really stands.
Which Kim?
don't know who else really stands out in that team, to be honest. But you would expect. I'm not going to say Brazil are going to roll over them, but you would expect Brazil to win this comfortably.
Yeah, like a 2-0 or something. That's what I expect as well.
like a nice controlled, not necessarily domination, but like a control, sort of like against Switzerland, where it was controlled. Although the Swiss did give them a little bit of trouble. They did ask some questions.
Which shot on target did you like from the Swiss against Brazil? Oh no, wait, there wasn't any.
Regardless of that, like I think Switzerland put up a pretty good fight, and they definitely played a lot better. They definitely asked more questions than what Serbia asked of Brazil. So I think this might be more similar to Brazil-Serbia than Brazil-Switzerland.
Yeah, let's hope Brazil go through.
And now the other side of the bracket, Poland-France.
Ooh, we love Poland.
Man,
they better not.
Me and you, we really like Lewandowski. I think the footballing world really likes Lewandowski.
Yeah.
And I just feel really sorry for him that he has to play in this team.
Yeah, but he doesn't do much in the team.
Well,
either.
The team doesn't help him.
Yeah, I guess it's not necessarily his style, but I'm still underwhelmed with him for Poland as well. And oh man, Zielinski is the biggest disappointment.
Zielinski as well.
Whenever I see him in a Polish shirt, he's just nothing. He just takes on the persona of that whole team, except for Szczesny. But yeah, no, I don't have any hardcore opinions on this. I hope the French win. Because honestly, I've seen Poland a fair bit now in major tournaments. They're just uninspiring at best. They're lucky to be.
Well, and then we have England, Senegal. You would based on this round of 16, these two games, you expect England versus France in the quarters.
You do expect it. I think Senegal should give England more problems than Poland give France.
It will be
just
England's
because I think,
best test so far.
yeah, definitely. And I think America were a good test. So I shouldn't say that with as much certainty as maybe I did, especially a Mane-less Senegal. But I think the problem with the Senegal matchup is I think the advantage that England normally have in physicality is somewhat taken away by playing Senegal. And Senegal are very organised, can be very compact and play nice disciplined football. Just obviously lack a bit of cutting edge in those front areas, but they did enough to get through their group, squeak through their group, and yeah, it'll be a tough challenge. But if England want to make any noise in this tournament, it goes without saying Senegal are a team you should still be beating somewhat comfortably.
You know, it really sucks that Mane isn't playing because I would have loved to have seen Mane rip Maguire again. Because he always, in a Liverpool shirt, he always seemed to get the better of him. And that one where that was the 5-0 one last season, 5-0 win, and then
which 5-0.
But I went in on
Maguire. That was 5-4.
But we both went in on Maguire getting dragged out of position by Mane numerous times. It sucks that he isn't playing, but
well, the number 1 and 2 players according to Ballon d'Or rankings, both missing from the World Cup. Yeah. Although the story was Benzema went back to Real Madrid, and their doctors said the injury is not as bad as the French doctors said. So I don't know what I heard that story a few days ago, but
he still return?
The buzz was that he might return.
The
buzz was that he might return.
He's still eligible to return. Maybe he returns for the final and just fucks Giroud off. You're like, no time for Fiat.
And the French lose.
No time for Fiat. It's time for Ferraris.
I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing for France if Benzema returns. I guess it's a good thing for another option. But
I think he can return, but I think Giroud should be starting. Because for the cohesion and the chemistry of the team, it's already there with Giroud. I think if you're in like the 60th or 70th minute and you need a match winner,
good option.
Bring Benzema on. Yeah, sure.
The Ballon d'Or winner coming off the bench. We got a bit of an option here.
The man who single-handedly took Real Madrid to the Champions League trophy.
As close to it as we've ever seen.
The other side of that side of the draw, Morocco, Spain, Portugal, Switzerland. We sort of touched on it, man. Morocco just looking at Unai Simon and it's just unleash the hounds. That's what I think that that the coach is going to be saying. Just pressure the shit out of that defense and that goalkeeper, and we can take this game. Based on how Morocco have been playing, I honestly, I don't know if I can fancy Spain in this matchup. And you're lagging for me a little bit.
Game plan and you mix it in with. I think I've been lagging for a little bit. My internet, it's a little bit shit. But we'll try.
We're wrapping up. We're wrapping up.
Through. I can't really change it at this point.
Yeah, we'll try to wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. But yeah, go on. Your thoughts on Spain, Morocco? Oh no, we've lost him.
We've got him. Lagging.
Oh no!
I can't believe this.
What's going on?
This shitty internet. Yeah, well, when you mix in that, have you? Oh my god!
Oh no, you keep cutting out, man.
Oh my god, this is so annoying. Am I back?
Sort of.
This is so annoying, man. The internet has just decided to turn to absolute shit.
Can't go wrong with Dodo.
Oh no, you've lost me. Hello.
Yep.
Hello, am I back?
Alright, yeah, you're back.
Oh, this is the worst.
Alright, we'll try to wrap it up in the next 5 minutes. Alright, come on. Spain, Morocco, your thoughts quickly. You're good on my end. Oh no, you're not.
Work, bro.
Caleb, should we wrap it up? All right, guys, we're having some technical difficulties.
Am I back? Am I back? You're back.
Yeah, you're back.
Hello.
Yeah,
Hello.
yeah. All right, quickly. Spain,
All right,
Spain,
back into
Morocco.
Spain, Morocco. Sorry. If you mix in like what could be a perceived tactic of pressing Unai Simon with the atmosphere, the crazy atmosphere that the Moroccan supporters have been able to generate, then we could see some power plays from Morocco in this game, a la Japan, maybe more sustained power plays. I still expect Spain to get through, don't get me wrong. But Morocco have been quite impressive as far as the underdogs go. They've been one of the more impressive underdogs, I think. And I think they're pretty good value for being where they are. Top of the group might be a bit of a push, but Croatia and Belgium didn't really do their jobs. So here they are, top of the group, and their reward is you get to play Spain. But like you say, it's maybe a matchup that they fancy. And yeah, I definitely don't give them no chance of beating Spain. I give them more than the uncertain football chance. I give them, I don't know, 1 in 5. 1 in 5 might be pushing it. Maybe 1 in 6, like a 15% chance of winning this game. But
I think
there's definitely some deficiencies they could maybe exploit.
Out of all of the round of 16 matchups, I think this is the one that has the most chance for an upset. But because I don't think Portugal-Switzerland would be an upset if Switzerland won.
Yeah, unless that's the only one that if you throw that into the category, then Switzerland upsetting Portugal.
Yeah, I don't think it's as much of an upset. Like I think that one's more. I think that's more of a. That's as close to a 50-50 out of all of the matchups, like Portugal-Switzerland, than there is. And then the next one is Morocco-Spain, I think.
Wait, you sure Australia Argentina isn't pretty close to a 50? Sorry, it was 0.50. It wasn't 50%.
Yeah, you're missing a decimal point.
No, I could definitely go along with that. I think Morocco, I think they're a good shout to be the most favourable underdog to win, even though they go through as top.
It would not surprise me it would not surprise me if they beat Spain. Yeah,
and Spain will have themselves to blame if that's the case. But I guess it would have been them or Croatia. So much of a muchness. Maybe the matchup against Croatia would favour them. But
yeah, I think the matchup would have favoured them.
Definitely a good call. And I guess we'll just touch on that 50-50 that we have. And this side of the bracket, I think, is wide open, isn't it? Because, like you say, these are the two games I think are the hardest to call. And then you'd have the two winners go into the next round. It's not inconceivable that you could have Morocco in the semi-finals of the World Cup. It's not completely inconceivable.
Mm-hmm. It would be an absolute amazing if that happens. But it's possible because if Morocco do beat Spain, they just it seems like out of all the teams that have shown up, they seem like the one that have like asked the most questions of these favorites. But yeah, like Portugal, Switzerland, who do you think comes out on top there?
I don't know, man. I don't know with Portugal. They're a really hard one for me to pick. I don't want to put anything on Portugal because I don't know which one is going to turn up.
Portugal should be a lot better than what they are.
Yeah, but they qualified after only 2 games, so where are you going to ding them on that? They have so much quality in the squad, so where are you going to ding them on that? They're not like compared to the other favourites. They did pretty much exactly what the other favourites did in terms of qualifying after 2 games and then resting a lot of players and then losing the last game. Brazil, France, obviously. So I don't know. Like you should have more confidence in Portugal, because they've been doing what the other favourites are doing. But yet here I find myself up against Switzerland, and it's not quite a 50-50, but Portugal only just edge it for me. They're not convincing favourites going into this game, which is sort of tells you everything you need to know about what we think about Portugal.
Well, I don't know. You'd expect Portugal to go through though.
I do.
But
I'd put it at 60-40
but
probably.
Switzerland, yeah, but Switzerland are good money, and you know what? I do like the look of Mbolo.
He has played very well this tournament
Yeah.
after a very uninspiring sort of last couple of years at club level.
So
He's taken it to the next level this World
I remember
Cup.
signing him on FIFA when he was like 18 or 19. He was an absolute
Yeah,
beast.
he was one of my favorites
Yeah.
to sign on FIFA as well.
But yeah, look, I wouldn't be upset if Switzerland go through.
I would, just because I think Portugal have more quality. I like at least give me the chance of a higher ceiling.
But I
Because
think
Switzerland's ceiling is nowhere near as high as Portugal's, and maybe it's my fault for believing in Portugal's ceiling, but I still want that to be like a chance of that I could see that in a quarterfinal or a semi-final of the World Cup.
for me though, the thing is, I'm probably disappointed in the way Portugal approach games because of the quality that they have. So that's why I wouldn't be upset if they lose. Whereas Switzerland, it's like, okay, they don't have that much quality, but they still play all right. They play, for the quality that they have, they play better than what Portugal play with the quality that they have, if you get me.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Switzerland aren't quite in that Denmark category for me, and I thought they were pretty impressive this morning against Serbia. But like we said, Serbia were all over the place.
Yeah.
But yeah, I could agree with that. So I think the final question I want to throw at you, if you don't have anything to add before
Well,
we leave it here.
I have a question.
go
Or
on.
maybe I should leave it for the
Okay,
next
go
part,
on.
or maybe to wrap. Maybe I'll leave it at the very end of the World Cup. But it's in regards to the groups and how we can maybe avoid these smaller nations going through and the bigger nations to go through, and maybe instead of 8 groups of 4, we have 2 groups of 16.
I think we could do a pod on that. Hopefully when the World Cup slows down, because I was going to say we've got to the end of the group stage, and I was going to say and breathe. But no chance of breathing because we're straight into the round of 16.
Yeah,
It's like you've just popped your head up for a bit of air and then they just pushed it right back down. Have some more football.
I think we'll leave it on that note then. But
Oh, wait, I wanted to ask you like a quick question.
go
on.
on.
Okay, the final question, we'll touch on your point like later when we have a day's break. But
Yeah.
the final question on the brackets: what's your dream semi-finals? Because I'm guessing it's Argentina, Brazil on one side. Except take your heart out of it, obviously. But like, what's from the footballing aspect? What's your dream semi-final scenario from this point?
Without any heart and just like head, yeah, Argentina, Brazil, and either France, Portugal, or France, Spain. I think I'm leaning more towards France, Spain, just because I like. Just like I said, I'm more disappointed in Portugal with how they've approached games based on the quality that they have.
I lean towards Portugal because if Portugal make the semis against France, then we obviously have the storyline of France going back to back, which hasn't been done since that fantastic Brazilian team of 58 and 62. Then we have the Portugal narrative with Cristiano Ronaldo. So all this time we could have been talking about Messi, but we could have Ronaldo in the final. And then obviously on the other side, you've got the Super Classico or whatever they call it, the Argentina-Brazil. Oh my God. And Messi going for the last one. Brazil, obviously Neymar going for his last one. I think those 4 teams in the Final Four give us the best narratives around it. And I'm hoping that it's a Spain-Portugal quarterfinal as well, because that could be very tasty. And that one could be, and I know I'm getting ahead of myself again talking about quarterfinals, but that one could be like, remind me of Spain-France in the 06 World Cup, where Spain just felt a tournament too early, which they were. And obviously in 08 they go on in the Euros. And that was the game where France clicked into gear and really started their run towards the finals. So it could have that effect on Portugal if they were able to meet Spain in that quarterfinal as well. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I hope that the favourites get through because I want those mouth-watering England-France quarterfinals. Obviously, even Netherlands-Argentina Brazil, Croatia, and Spain, Portugal. I think they could all be fantastic quarterfinals. So I'm hoping for that. And having said that, I'm probably going to get some shocks, and I'm probably not going to be happy about them.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed, no upsets in the round of 16, because then that makes the juiciest quarterfinals matchups for us as viewers, both neutral and non-neutral. But I don't know, Argentina, Australia. I don't know.
That would be crazy.
I'm ready for Australia, but I don't expect anything.
Me too.
I don't expect anything. But anyway, Caleb, it's been a pleasure. To everyone that's tuned in and stayed with us for the last 2 hours and 15 minutes, make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't. Share it as well. Get on that share button.
Send some donations for me to get some new internet as well.
yeah. Get off that dodo crap.
Internet, the crawls.
Yeah. Caleb, as I said, been a pleasure. Everyone, thanks for. Wait, what's my side off line?
Thanks for coming and bye for now. Come on, I've heard it enough.
Caleb, you can take us out.
And to everyone, thanks for coming in. Bye for now.